You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. We have just been joined by Patrick Yabuama, who is the MP for Kaikwe Central. Thank you very much for coming. Dr. Anthony Insiasare, the Director of the Ghana Health Service, has taken leave of us because we do not have any direct questions from you to him. Now, let's a couple of your messages. Sofo Yamusa in Kumbungu says, it is unfortunate the minority in Parliament has the moral authority to now question single sourcing. I do not think Ghanaians have short memories as they want us to believe. To the good people of Ghana, let's not be deceived into thinking that we can solve all the basic health needs of our country before getting essential things like drones. Iliasu in Tamale says, Lagats, we are known for our slow nature. You want to say lizards or something? Our slow nature in adopting to innovation and change. The conduct of the NDC is the reason we are where we are as a nation. The NDC, they know that the zipline drone delivery service is the best for Ghana. It would prevent needless and avoidable deaths in our hospitals. But for political expediency, they seek to rubbish it. Okay. Imagine the NDC was seeking to bring this during their time. You would have heard how it would have been from the NPP too. Eja Adam is saying, I am bemused by the opposition. In Accra, for example, we have Kolebu 37 Military Hospital, Rage Hospital, etc. Our kith and king in some other parts of the country have to travel for hours to a district hospital. The situation becomes serious when their health needs cannot be met in these hospitals and have to be sent to the regional hospital or one of the teaching hospitals. We should embrace and use technology to circumvent some of our problems. Bediakon in Kumasi says, I'm not concerned about the price tag of the drones as a medical supply innovative project. My concern is that the contract should, as a matter of necessity, be a buy, operate, and transfer so that the technology and the equipment will forever be owned by Ghanaians. Okay, so that's where I'll end it. And because I had mentioned another entity that was also in the queue for this particular project, that's the Mama Health, Michigan Aerospace Manufacturers Association. A question is being asked, why was this not open to, as it were, open tender rather than sole or single source? All right, thank you very much. Now, the EC has been up to something, and we want to deal with that very quickly and move on to the next issue. And I asked the question whether they are engaged in petty politics of waste of scarce resources. They have reverted to the old logo. They are no more interested in the one introduced by Charlotte Osei's regime. So, why is this an issue in the first place? Let's begin by listening into these tapes.
To a large extent, the logo depicts what we do as an organization. I said previously we have transparency, fairness, and integrity embedded in the logo. And those three things are very, very important, plus accountability. As an election management body, you should be thinking in terms of those. And our thinking as a commission is that when our workers see that clearly, it's telling you that as a worker, you must be working towards being transparent, being very fair to the players of the game, make sure you are maintaining a high level of integrity, you are accountable, and those things are very clear. There is no ambiguity. When you look at it, you can easily explain it. But the reality is that, as I said, we are not so much interested in branding per se. So what we are going to do is that we are going to pull off some of these things, and some of the places will require just painting, following the paint which is already there. So those are the things we are going to be doing.
The EC times past, when they were changing their logo, didn't consult the New Patriotic Party. The current administration didn't consult us that they're changing their logo from this one to the old one in order to reflect their vision and mission. So I will leave that to the EC to manage themselves. These are, for me, administrative issues. Whether we like it or not, Madam Charlotte said, change the logo of the EC and justified it.
Okay.
This is a new administration that has taken over, and it's of the view that in order for them to communicate to the world and deliver and ensure that they are meeting their mission and vision as a commission,
okay,
they need to go back to visit the old logo and apply that one to ensure that this is the EC of Ghana. If they had consulted us at IPAC, maybe the party would have given its opinion.
We haven't just yet, but if my recollection of the introduction of that logo to guide my thoughts, I believe that we were not very happy with that logo. We believe that it did not represent the Electoral Commission. We were not consulted in the change of the logo. And this morning, hearing about the news that this new Electoral Commission had referred to the old logo is pleasing. Well, the tax money was wasted when the logo was converted. I think going back to the original did not require a new design, and the plate must have already been in existence. The wasted revenues from our financial resources was wasted when it was converted from the old to the new.
We did not open up invitations for people to send logos in because, as we explained, the logo has to represent where we're going to as a brand and as an institution. So it's not just about putting colors together. It had to represent something. We were also benchmarking internationally. We did look at logos of other electoral commissions. And it's important that we work very closely with other electoral commissions. They visit us, we look at their strategic plans, we exchange information, we exchange, we study visits are always going on. So there is a process. A logo is not just an artistic competition. It has to stand for something. We went through a process, and no, my husband did not design it. He's not a graphic artist. We went through a process, and I'm not even the only one married to a graphic artist, by the way. We went through a process in terms of developing the brand and what we wanted the brand to stand for. We engaged internally. We made inquiries. We had people bring. We selected as a commission, and that's why I said we selected it and we like it. If the Turkish institute,
educational institute,
we plagiarized their logo,
that is the claim.
Then they certainly have rights under the law. We don't feel we've plagiarized their logos. And if you look internationally, there are many logos that look.
But have you seen that logo, by the way?
I have. I don't think it looks like mine. I like mine better. So we looked at, we like it. We are comfortable as a commission that it represents the values and the brand we want and the image we want to portray, and it supports our strategic direction. You say branding. First, there's the logo, and it's ongoing. It's not even finished. We haven't gone doing signage. We haven't done our vehicles. We usually don't even do our vehicles. I'm not sure we intend to.
But do you know how much we spent so far?
I couldn't tell you.
But those figures are there.
Sorry?
Are those figures there? Can we find out?
Of course they are there. I mean, there's a process. And people have to understand that we work within a budget. The EC is independent, but is also subject to laws. So we go through audits. We're audited by the Auditor General, and they go and they look and they make sure we've gone through right process, due process. We've spent within budget. We don't just have unlimited funds. And a lot of the reform process going on is also supported by donors, because donors have been working with us and trying to help us ensure that we finish the internal reforms, because we keep putting electoral reforms on top of the same structure. The structure must support the reforms and the things, how you're carrying your mandates. And so there's a lot of donor support for the internal reforms that are going on.
All right, so you've been listening to Madame Charlotte Osei on the logo when she was the EC chairperson. And then you heard also Dr. Bosman Asari, presently one of the new deputy chairpersons of the Electoral Commission, defending the decision to revert to the old logo. You heard the voice of Evans Nemako, the Director of Elections of the NPP, speaking about the fact that they were not consulted. The NPP was not consulted when the change was being done. Also, Ni Alote Bru-Hammond of the PPP, the chairperson of the PPP, also saying similar thing, that they were also not consulted and that it was waste of money that the EC engaged in. Okay, so on this issue, let me begin with Patrick, the MP who has just joined us. I find that we are engaged in a discussion that seems to say the EC only embarked on a logo change. But the logo change was part of a strategic plan. They had a 2016-2020 strategic plan, which they outdoored, and part of it was a logo change. What do you understand? Is this new EC abandoning that strategic plan? And do you think this was necessary to revert to the old logo?
Thank you very much, Samson. Good morning to our viewers and listeners, and for the opportunity, and also to take advantage of this discussions to wish former President Kufuor a happy birthday.
Right.
Samson, let me read the concluding part of the memo that the EC sent out to their officers.
Right.
That let the bells of accountability, fairness, and integrity ring throughout the commission. May God bless us all. Thank you. The memo concluded. Samson, the Electoral Commission has gone through a phase, a very turbulent one as such, and for the first time in our history, under the Fourth Republic, let me put it that way, 3 key officials were removed through the constitutional process.
Right.
A certain image was built around the EC from the outset of the Consultative Assembly period up to the 2016 elections. Fast forward, the officers at the helm of affairs at the EC were, according to the report and what led to their removal, had placed the EC's image on a certain pedestal, which in the view of many was not the best. So the appointment of the new EC chair and her team, I believe, has thrown out the new logo, reverted to the old logo, which they believe represents the image and the core values of the EC. That is entirely up to the new boss of the EC. I've gone through something, the Constitution. I've looked at the law that sets out the Electoral Commission as a constitutional body, and key amongst it was the functions of the Electoral Commission. Secondly, I also looked at the EC Act of 1993, Act 451. And the key functions of the EC, I believe this is a minor issue that should bother us. To the extent that they are able to organize a free, fair, transparent general elections to the admiration of Ghanaians and the world. Nobody has issues with the EC. But if you look at other constitutional bodies like SHRAJ, like the NCC, I've not seen or heard any of them talking about rebranding, changing their logos and what have you. I took pains to even look at the definition of rebranding, which brought about all this logo and the change that we are talking about. Let me give you one such definition. Rebranding is the creation of a new look and feel of an established product or company. The usual goal of rebranding is to influence a customer's perception about a product or service or the company overall by revitalizing the brand and making it seem more modern and relevant to the customer's need. Rebranding, if you speak to anybody in the advertising space, is akin with commercial or corporate activities to change the company's logo, make it more attractive, and what have you. But for a constitutional body like the EC to have engaged in that exercise, my view wasn't necessary. 2, Samson, the EC wants to start on a new pedestal with a new chair and the new deputies that the president has appointed. So I believe it's within their space to go back and tell their officers and Ghanaians that this is where we believe we must take off as a new set of commissioners. And this is what we believe in the image of the EC and in the light of what we intend to do represents the core value of the EC. 1, transparency. 2, accountability. 3, fairness. Especially when the EC is going to go into preparation and organizing the referendum in December and also the assembly elections in 2019 and the general elections in 2020. They ought to couch a certain image that will bring the confidence that Ghanaians expect from the independent body called the Electoral Commission.
You seem to suggest that an independent elections management body cannot act or purport to carve an image of a corporate, entity for itself. And the logo, what's really about it? The new logo they brought in, this is what they said the things you found on it represented. They explained that the circles in the logo represent unity, singular and unified in its purpose. They said it is our democracy. The blue in the circle represents stability and independence of the commission. The inward moving arrows reflect all the people of Ghana and equally coming together for the common purpose. The right to select their political leadership. The red, gold, and green colors, they explained, represented Ghana. What's it? That this new one, as you heard Dr. Bosman Asare, the deputy, say fairness. What's it?
Then Bosman Asare, you rightly said.
Yeah, I spoke about representation of independence and fairness,
integrity,
which is not missing in the old.
So
which is not missing in what they have now changed.
So if it wasn't missing, why was it changed? If those core values were in the old symbol, why then was it changed?
The old is the new is broader. It's more expansive.
I believe transparency, you can find transparency in unity.
Okay.
You can find transparency, integrity in democracy.
Okay.
You can find accountability and independence in democracy.
Okay.
To the extent that the Constitution has guaranteed the EC that independence, I believe that those three things were all embedded in the old symbol, for which I didn't see any reason or cause for it to be changed.
Okay. So you think it's justified to embark on what they have done now, irrespective of the cost?
Something, the roadmap that they've set out, which I mentioned earlier on: 1, the referendum; 2, the 2019 District Assembly elections that they'll be organizing; the 2020 elections, and all the internal primaries that the EC will be embarking on. I believe that they ought to start this whole process.
Okay.
With the confidence of Ghanaians behind them, and I believe that they have the right to do that.
Okay. The 2020 elections, which the court has held, must include diaspora votes.
Rightly
Yes.
so.
All right. Now, sir.
It's unfortunate that we have to go into the debate about the change of a logo.
It is the public's money.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. It's a needless waste of time. I think that sometimes I feel that people like myself owe an apology to Charlotte Osei. And I feel strongly about that. Yesterday when I was reading through your documents and also reading these things, I feel that we owe her an apology. Because why will a person elect to put herself up for public service and be pursued with this level of vengeance? Why?
Is that what this is?
That's what it is. There's a conspicuous, deliberate attempt to obliterate the presence of Charlotte Osei at the Electoral Commission. Yeah, that's what it is. And the most unfortunate part is that it's a woman who is leading it. I'm a man, and I don't want to be accused of misogyny. But it appears that the woman's enemy is another woman. Because what did Charlotte Osei do? The change of the logo was discussed and agreed as part of the strategic plan of the Electoral Commission. She, as head of the commission, had a duty, indeed an obligation. It is the Electoral Commission, as constituted, that took a decision. It was not Charlotte Osei.
That commission is actually almost entirely wiped out. So new king, new law.
No, that is yes, but I'm happy that we are, 4 of us are lawyers plus a street lawyer. That institution, that establishment, it's an establishment that has perpetuity. The actions they are taking appears to be actions directed at a particular time of the elections, of the commission's history. And that is how you can relate it to those persons who acted within that time. And that's the most unfortunate part. You see, and my brother, I'm for branding. Even human beings are branded. And we know that in this country, we have branded human beings before. So what are you talking about?
Who did you brand?
Oh. Politicians have branded their leaders for them to win elections. And we know that. And so what are you talking about? Don't talk about branding as if it's only limited to commercial
private organizations.
No?
I was talking about
No. So branding, they use rebranding.
I said the
But
3 constitutional bodies.
Has it ever occurred to you that at any time during the existence of the Electoral Commission of Ghana in the 4th Republic, integrity, fairness, and transparency took flight of the commission? Has it ever occurred to you? No. They've always been the core values. Indeed, that's why this Electoral Commission, under Afarijan and under Charlotte Osei, has won international admiration. They have never been lost on the Electoral Commission. So if you issue a communique and say that by the singular act of restoration, reversion and restoration, you are restoring values of integrity, fairness, and accountability, then it begs the question, what singular act or step has the Electoral Commission taken since assuming office that is directed towards the restoration of those values, apart from changing the logo. And how can the change of logo be a restoration of those values? Indeed, I contest the claim that the values of integrity, fairness, and accountability has ever been lost. I mean, we have seen electoral commissions in Africa, and all political science students or history students point to disturbances in neighboring African countries, to the lack of independence of electoral commissions. 27 years in our democratic experiment, we are yet to experience conflict by reason of decisions on leadership of this country. That is integrity. That is the integrity. Even in the face of accusations, the Electoral Commission is prepared to stand by what it believes will secure the peace and stability of this country. Take Afarijan. In all the years he lived and served as Electoral Commission, both parties and many parties accused Afarijan, but that did not compromise the firm view of the Electoral Commission then, as constituted, that they stood for integrity, fairness, and accountability. And they were prepared at any time to go to court to defend those core values.
With their old logo.
Now, so you are not talking about the restoration of an old logo. But is it the restoration of an old logo? Because in the old logo, the ballot box in that old logo, or maybe that's the transparent ballot box that you have replaced. Because in that old logo that was changed, the ballot box was not exactly the logo that has been advertised as being the restoration. They are two different. And that is significant. In fact, this ballot box is even smaller.
Okay.
It's not that of that size as the old ballot box. But I just want to tell the Electoral Commission and Jill Mensah, you have been given a heavy responsibility. You have the opportunity to demonstrate that you will be neutral, fair, impartial, and you will have no obligation whatsoever to carry through the political pettiness that resulted in the removal of your predecessor. You have no obligation whatsoever. Indeed, as an electoral commissioner, you are insulated against removal unless you bring yourself within the ambit of laws allowing for your removal. So please focus on winning the respect, admiration, and confidence of the Ghanaian people.
Okay.
As
Thank you. Let's hear Clara and see whether you have observed that there was any erosion of fairness of those kind of core principles in the EC by virtue of its new logo, new until recently removed. And when they were out during the 2016, 2017, 2020 strategic plan, I think it appears it was the first time that it gave us, the opportunity to see things in a certain way. This is the document, and they said vision. EC will be a benchmark in Africa for enabling independent, trusted, world-class democratic elections for citizens and candidates alike. Mission. Our job at the EC is to deliver on the electoral mandate, enable and facilitate free and fair elections in Ghana, and regulate the activities of all registered political parties. Objectives. 1, ensure our mandate is delivered and managed legally, transparently, and fairly, and check how the repetition of fairly and transparently and independently. Ensure EC is legally and functionally independent. Develop and maintain a relationship of trust and credibility with citizens, parties, state institutions, and other stakeholders. And finally, ensure that the EC operates efficiently, effectively, and to world-class standard. Strategic pillars. 1, develop all stakeholder relationships. That's their image. 2, focus on electoral mandates. 3, engage our people. 4, organize our processes for delivery. And finally, leverage our resources. And the red, gold, and green. In the red, they wrote independent. In the gold, they wrote trusted. And in the green, they wrote world class. That's the image they sought to project. Do you think that in the first place, as people asked, there was need for the change in the logo at all?
Samson, to begin with, I am of the view that since it's coming into being, from the very beginning, the Electoral Commission hasn't lost credibility. I think that the Electoral Commission has, over the years, gone through certain processes. We've had, just like any other institution, at any other place in the world, we have had to make improvements. We have at some point discovered issues that we could make better, and we have sought to grow. I think today as we sit, I think the majority of Ghanaians are confident that the person who chairs the EC cannot determine who wins elections, but that whether you win elections or not depends on what happens on the floor. I think that is enough credit. In spite of the challenges, I think that is sufficient credit to us EC and to ourselves right from the beginning till now. So with respect to the credibility of the, I would like to look at that separately. When it comes to management style, I think each EC is entitled, of course, I'm sure they have their strategic plan. Always, they determine what makes them identify and work better. Every institution has a logo.
They adored a 5-year strategic plan. We don't know of a new strategic plan replacing the 5-year plan.
Yes, with respect to the logo, because the issue here, of course, I understand the concerns about cost. But when it comes to, I don't, like Honorable Inusa Fuseni made a comment about it, another woman doing something. I don't think anybody has done something to another person. I don't think it is an issue of a woman who is against another woman, because yes, it was in their plan, but there was an original logo that was changed. I don't think when Mrs. Osei was there and she changed that logo, I don't think she intended to do something to the one who had just retired. The same way, I do not think the current commissioner is trying to do something personal to Mrs. Osei. I think they have also come in and probably decided that, well, we think they are more comfortable with the old logo. The issue, of course, is something that, of course, because Ghanaians are concerned about the taxpayers' money, we can talk about it. But the change of the logo, I don't think should be personalized. Of course, I'm sure we all know that logos by themselves do not instill values in any institution. But we also know that we need logos or symbols that we can identify with, that we remind ourselves all the time that this is what we stand for, so that anytime we see this logo, we know that this is what we stand for.
In the 5-year strategic plan, when they referred to the logo and explained what each of the components represented, they ended by saying, we are not, and not is in caps, we are not a government institution, and we are demonstrating our independence by not again in caps, using the coat of arms that is representative of our government.
That is their plan. That is what is in their strategic document. Whether I agree with it or not is another matter, because I think it's a state institution. I have pride in for a personal opinion, I have pride in our coat of arms. And yes, I would like a logo that bears our coat of arms, a logo that I can identify to the state, because the Electoral Commission it's not outside of the state. It's one of the independent state institutions. So I do not think that by being represented by state colors makes it any less independent. So yes, that is what they had in their strategic plan. Whether I agree with it or not is another matter. But just like at least when they were there, that was the logo that they chose that probably worked for them, that reminded them of the values that they stand for. We have a new, virtually a new commission, because we have the chairperson and deputies. who have been appointed, and then of course they've also changed the logo. For me, the bigger issue really is the cost. But when it comes to the logo, as to which one they change, I don't really make a big deal out of it, apart from the cost.
So Kweku, in explaining things earlier, they have said for each of the commissioners or the commission staff, they needed to take responsibility in this order. So they set out a sort of a code. And in the code, they said, number one, accountability. And each one is supposed to say, I take ownership of my work, my responsibilities, and my decisions. 2, excellence. I strive for my personal best in my thoughts, my words, and my actions, being better today than I was yesterday. 3, inclusiveness. I work to ensure that the voices of all our people are heard in the commission, the community, and the country. And finally, integrity. I am honest and transparent in all my dealings, ensuring I am worthy of the trust placed in myself and in the EC. What do you find is lost that is restored by the old logo?
Honestly, it is the language used in this memo. This was an internal memo. It is the language that's problematic.
Which part of the language?
And creates, sows the seeds for those who have begun to engage in conspiracy theories in terms of targeting people's integrity and things. See, paragraph 2, the core values of the Electoral Commission, namely integrity, fairness, and accountability, have from today been restored. You just read something.
Yeah.
Those are our principles of integrity, transparency, accountability, and the rest that were still at the core of the mandate and the functioning of the EC.
And all officers and members were supposed to make a personal pledge.
Yes, so this is a bit unfair. Yes. It sounds as if somebody is in a hurry to indict somebody, and there's no basis for that. You go to the last paragraph, let the bells of accountability, fairness, and integrity ring throughout the commission. Again, this is not good language. It's as if you are indicting somebody or a group of people. It's unnecessary, it's needless.
Let the bells of accountability ring throughout the commission and wherever.
Did they stop ringing?
And I'm asking, by the process that saw the 3 commissioners out, can it not be said that the bells of accountability had escaped?
Well, see,
because those were questions of accountability.
I am avoiding the temptation to go on those issues because we are in court.
Yeah.
You know, there's a case in court. Incidentally, you happen to be my lawyer.
Constitutional issues.
Constitutional issues. So, if we are not careful, you will be tempted, or there's a potential for you to go into.
I'm only speaking about the fact of what went to the committee or the CJ and the outcome. It was questions of accountability.
Yes.
So they are saying that was lost, and they wanted to ring again.
So they are predetermining even what will be the outcome of the case in court.
Okay.
I mean, I'm very careful, especially when I'm personally involved. So I like to be very careful about those things. But I'm saying that this could have been better crafted. You want to restore the old logo.
That's all.
There's a way to craft it and let everybody go ahead with it. And you know my position. When this matter came up, this is what I said on a Wednesday on Kwame Sefakai's program, Kokroko. I actually said, beautiful language, but in terms of symbolism and the spirituality of our people, our history and culture, I think it's a waste of time, space, and energy.
There's a change of the logo from the old to what is now being changed.
This is 28th April 2016.
Okay.
It is an exercise which should not have taken place. It is worthless. On this show, which was 30th of April, this is what I said. I think it's completely unnecessary. The original logo represents our history, culture, and spirituality as a nation. I don't see any Ghanaians in it. The closest thing was the red, gold, green in there.
That sounds like one who is not minded to go with progress. The EC, since the 2002 of the introduction of our constitution and the coming into being of the EC, has been using this old logo. So if they have a 5-year strategic plan and they are looking to progress, you are, you know.
I endorsed. I said the 5-year plan was readable, well captured, and well presented. And I had nothing against the 5-year plan in principle in terms of its mission and vision and the objectives outlined. This is a fantastic document.
Yeah.
This 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. But I had a difficulty with the logo change.
Okay.
And I expressed it. They gave reasons for the logo.
Yeah.
Okay? They gave reasons. Each part they explained.
Yeah.
That's why I was surprised when, is it Dr. Bosman? Asari created the impression as if people there did not know what it represented.
Yeah.
Because they did explain. You can reject the explanation. You can disagree. In fact, I disagreed with it. And I am comfortable with the return of the old logo. I have to be honest with you. I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
Even the cost. We raised the same issues of cost when Charlotte-led commission made the same thing. We raised it. It's legitimate reason, point to raise again, in the sense that it's not just letterheads that will change. Even the vehicles, the symbols on the vehicles, the district offices, all those things will change. And so the cost comes with it. But I'm comfortable with the logo, the old one, coming back.
The new order.
We should only not read into it the kind of meanings. But those meanings have come about because of the content of this memo.
Okay.
It was poorly communicated.
Thank you very much.
I'm not surprised that Koko Bako is.
I'm sure we can end this here.
Old logo.
Because his father, because he said this is a waste of time.
And took part in the designing of this logo. So it's just in the past.
All right, we'll be right back to ask questions about filing fees. Is democracy on sale?